I'm best at curating teams and finding the right people and then leading them. And I'm, like I said, I'm a strategist. So I will find the people that are experts at the thing that they need, my clients, right? And I will bring them into the game.
I have the joy of welcoming James Sackey, who's a fractional CMO here in Dallas, Texas, who specializes in strategy using content and collaboration.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. This is I've been looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Our last chat was awesome. So yeah, this is I guess round 3. So thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. James, thank you again. I want to kind of kick off here asking a few questions. Tell me about your current role as a fractional CMO and what problem your business solves and what you've created as a prime solution for that.
Yeah. So I'm a fractional chief marketing officer, like you mentioned, and my philosophy toward marketing is that it's entirely about how you build relationships with your business or your nonprofit. How you build relationships and how you position that organization in your ecosystem. So relative to your peers, your competitors, your suppliers, distributors, all of your stakeholders. That's kind of how I approach it. And so that's why I specialize in strategy. It's really a lot more than just about cool posts and having slick blog articles. I mean, I use all that kind of stuff, but it's really higher level than that. It's about how you position, like I said. And so that's what I focus on. It's like, how do you build relationships within your ecosystem? And what kind of content do you utilize to build your brand? So, and that's kind of like what I address, right? As far as my solutions, it's about building out content that speaks directly to your audience through their channels. You've got to fish where the fish are, right? A lot of companies, they don't typically get it right with their audience. A lot of times they don't even know who their audience is. And even if they do, they don't hit them where they are. They don't meet them where they are. And I mean, there's this idea of creating demand. I don't like that notion. I think it's more about meeting demand where it is. So I take that mentality, that approach towards it. Like I said, the solution that I created are very simple. It's really about content and collaboration, like you said at the beginning. So that's kind of how I approach it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think you hit the nail on the head there too. It's that relationship aspect is more important now than ever. And how many companies as marketers have we dealt with where they're like, who is your audience? Everybody. No, not so much. We need to target it down and really deliver that key message that resonates with the right people.
Yeah.
So how do you think technology is reshaping the way we understand and reach our audiences today compared to, let's say, 5 years ago? What do you think?
It has changed dramatically. So, I mean, 5 years ago now, that's right before COVID, right? That's about 2019 or so. And I think everything has changed. Technology-wise, obviously, AI has just taken the world by storm. I think we've got more than 1,000 AI tools now out there. And they're all very similar, right? AI for sure, automation for another. I think social media has blown up even more as well. Like technology platforms like Zoom and Teams and all of those. I think meeting virtually has obviously taken off as well. And obviously that uses a lot of technology. And it's definitely reshaped our society, especially in business where, I mean, now we meet frequently like this through video. I mean, I do way more video calls than anything now. I mean, I rarely am on the phone, right? And even if I'm on the phone, it's a video call still, right? For a meeting maybe or whatever, like
Right.
So technology is definitely reshaping how we're reaching our audience as marketers as well. Same thing. I mean, conducting webinars is now a big thing. It's great because you get the impacts of a seminar basically, but it's online, right? So you don't have to leave the comfort of your home. I think it's, like I said, a dramatic difference. And outside of the technology element, lots and lots of businesses came out of COVID. I mean, it seems like every business owner I talk to nowadays, if they haven't had their business for like 20 years, it was right out of COVID. Like they launched it in COVID or because of COVID, you know what I'm saying? Because they may have gotten laid off or just things changed, right? Obviously, and they decided to branch out and do their own thing. So, yeah, the last 5 years has been a whirlwind. I'm sure everybody agree with that. So, but yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how technology is unfolding and impacting it now.
Yeah, it is without question. I mean, geez, all these applications that have come out now that are adapting and ones that we have to keep up with too as marketers, right? Just knowing what tools, what resources are out there that we could take advantage of that
Yeah,
do exactly what you said, that are saving the company time, money, energy, and connecting with the right people.
there is a lot. I mean, like I did mention automation, and thinking about the tools I even use, like it's it's changed the game. I mean, now we're able to create content like at lightning speed. Chat GPT obviously is one of the heavyweights. Um, I mean, there's another app that I've used called Designer. It helps put together books and slides and stuff like that. Um, I mean, those are just some others that came to mind. I mean, yeah, it's ramped up everything and it's sped up everything for sure.
I love it. I love it. Okay, next question here I have for you. What did you say are some skills, key skills or knowledge components that are important for success in your industry in the next few years?
I will say building relationships has never been more important. And I feel like that's almost like I almost don't want to say that because it's somewhat obvious, right? It's easy, but it's really not. Because, like I was saying with COVID and how it changed everything, we are we're more disconnected now in a few ways, and there's a ton of evidence and studies around that. You know, people feeling disconnected. Um, because now we're interacting mostly online like this, right? And you don't really get to shake hands anymore. I know you and I kind of talked about that. I think the skills are lacking now, especially in the millennial generation and even more so in the Gen Zs. The social skills are not there. I've heard that from everybody, but also from even like interviewers or HR people. Um, when they get on an interview with young people, they freeze up. They don't know what to say, or even in person, it's even worse. And I mean, I can speak to that. I had an event recently, and it was I was interacting with a lot of students, and man, it's I'm not knocking anybody, but like just the interaction is really awkward. I mean, and I do this often. Like I'm constantly networking and meeting people and going to events. I meet hundreds of people a week, and I mean, I can make an awkward conversation easier, and I can make it flow. And I like to help people through the conversation if I can sense that they're struggling. Um, and even I was having a difficult time with a few people. I'm like, man, I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to throw you a lifeline, but you're not taking it. It's like you got to get out more and interact with folks. But I mean, yeah, I mean, back to your question. I mean, building those relationships, that skill is very needed, and knowledge. I mean, knowledge of yourself, your business, your product, your service, whatever it is that you offer, really understanding what it is you're doing for people and how to convey that in your communication is paramount. So I mean, building relationships to answer your question and how to communicate very, very well. I think those two skills and knowledge around that is I mean, you can even put a price on it. I think that's definitely those are the top two I'd say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this also relates too with something we talked about, but brand building, right? We are our own brand.
Yeah,
And ultimately, what is a brand? It's the emotional feeling someone has when that topic or discussion of that business is brought up. What does that drive? So
yeah,
when someone brings up my name, your name, etc., hopefully it's a smile is the first thing that comes out from the other person afterwards, right?
Yeah,
Or a funny story or something along those lines. But hey, that interaction versus, hey, I spoke with this person here and it was just dull, bland,
yeah,
etc. That interaction back and forth just wasn't there. Ugh, dull.
yeah,
Right. It's now more than ever. We got to ramp up how we talk to people, the feeling that we provide to them, the value that we give, and just being personable and respectful and mindful of their time. I could go on and on, right? But that strong emotional feeling tied to you, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. I think. I mean, like I said, communication is tough for everybody. It always has been, but I think it's harder now because, like I said, it's like people are feeling a lot more disconnected since COVID, and they interact a lot on through a screen now more than before. I mean, we were already attached to our phones pre-COVID, and now it's even more so, I would say. And so I think the ability to interact with folks and communicate clearly and just communicating well. You know, not only just getting your point across, but like you said, being able to connect with somebody and understanding really well how to build like the emotional connection to your brand if you're a business person. Very, very, very important. You know, you like you said, you don't want to have your brand being attached to negative feelings or negative emotions, right? And having that negative halo effect. You want it to be a positive one. You want it to be a positive experience. And so being able to tap into people's feelings and their values, what they're really pursuing, being able to read the room, but also reading the person you're speaking to and, you know, pinpointing as best you can what they're pursuing, what kind of pushes their buttons, and like what's important to them, I think is a grossly undervalued skill,
Mm,
especially I think people. It's funny. I feel like people know in the back of their mind that's what they want, but they don't know in the front of their mind that's what they're pursuing. Is being able to do that, being able to communicate really well like that. Yeah, I think those skills are going to be the ones. People who have those skills are going to be the ones who are going to be successful going forward from the point that we're at now, or from where COVID kind of started and where we are now. I think going into the future, that's going to be the thing. That's going to be the separator for a lot of people.
I love it. I love it. So for everyone who's watching, if they say, "Yeah, I'd like to sharpen that skill set or really develop that skill set of being able for good communication," that kind of segues into the next question here. Two parts. Are there any specific books that or resources that have inspired you or helped you with that communication aspect, but also with your entrepreneurial, your journey and your growth, motivation, etc.? And which one of those books has inspired you the most and why?
I have a ton of books that I would recommend. I obviously won't go through all of them. I mean, honestly, my library at home is probably my most valued treasure that I've got.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I've got physical books and I've got a lot here on my computer as well. But man, there's a lot. Red Marketing is a good one.
Okay.
It's RED. It's by the guys who used to run Yum Brands. That was a fantastic book for marketers. Culture Code is another really, really, really good one by Daniel Coyle.
Okay.
Um, that one talks about his approach toward how to build culture and kind of the ingredients of culture and what it is. Talking about things like uh, uh, sharing mutual risk. Basically like what hurts me hurts you, um, and talking about having the sense of vulnerability because it builds the emotional connection between people. There's another third part to it. I can't remember what it was, the third element, but it's a fantastic book. Wisest One in the Room was a that one was an amazing book for me. There's one chapter in particular, it's chapter 4. I think it's called Primacy of Behavior. Uh, phenomenal, uh, phenomenal chapter. I want people to go and get that book and read it because it's awesome.
I'll
Um,
add it to the collection without question.
yeah, I got a lot, man. Yeah, John C. Maxwell, his five
Mhm.
levels of leadership. I memorized a lot of stuff in that one, and I try to utilize it as much as possible. Yeah, there's a ton of books. I don't know that there's one that really stands out for me. Um, I'm difficult like that, I guess. I never have favorites of anything. I don't have favorite food. But no, yeah, those are some of the books that stand out for sure. And I've got a ton that we can definitely talk about. I can send you a bunch of recommendations for sure. So
Well, I'll be sure to post links to those books here in the description of this video, and also kind of have them as they pop up as well. But hey, and education is freedom. Education is our and time are arguably one of our most valuable assets that we have, right? So if we can build our library of knowledge in our head, that's something that no one can ever take away from us. You can take
yeah,
away our home, our cars, you could take away family, you can take away all kinds of stuff. You can never take away the knowledge that's been created in my mind. So
yeah,
and it sounds like the same with you too. The more we can add to that, the better. So thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Um, going from there, what there's lots of education components out there, and some of it is outdated in how we approach the industry as marketers. So I'd be interested to know what's one piece of outdated advice that entrepreneurs should stop following immediately.
We've always done it this way, or do it yourself. Um, I get you know the idea, the feeling, obviously, as an entrepreneur, of like doing things yourself and wanting it to be your own, and um, you know, even the country that we're in is very much about the individual, and like make your own way, and live the American dream, or try to get there, or whatever. And a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of solopreneurs say solopreneurs because they try to do everything themselves, and that is a fatal error. Um, advice to stop doing is that, yeah, stop doing it by yourself. Stop doing everything yourself. Seriously, I run into people all the time, every single day, that are struggling, and they don't want to struggle, allegedly, but then they don't have a team. They don't have anyone helping them. They don't want anyone to help them, and if they're offered help, they refuse it. And it's like, I mean, you're not going to climb Everest by yourself. It's impossible. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get lost in that because they're trying to do it their way. They're trying to do their own thing and stand on their own two legs and so on, which is admirable, of course. But what's not admirable is failing completely because you can't get out of your own way. And a lot of times I'll say that's driven by ego, even when it doesn't feel like it. It is. You know, being able to get outside of yourself will change everything. It has for me. The people who I follow and who are mentors to me have also gotten out of their own way and out of their own head and put their egos aside for the most part. And they built teams around them and people and environments that built them up as well as their business and what they do. And it makes all of the difference. I mean, I try to stress this as much as I can to whoever will listen. I mean, don't do it by yourself. No one succeeds on their own. I mean, Tom Brady, is not Tom Brady without Bill Belichick, Julian Edelman, Gronkowski, Robert Kraft, and a slew of other people that were instrumental in his development and his life and his team and building up that whole dynasty, all of that. I referenced them because that roast just came out, which is awesome. Uh, I mean, it's just like any great leader or great business person or whatever. I mean, nobody does it by themselves, ever, 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 ever. I mean, Steve Jobs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he still have Steve Wozniak and several other people and designers that and engineers that put their products together. You know what I'm saying? It's like he might have been the visionary behind it, but he didn't do it by himself. And everybody
Right.
knows, if they know his history, right? No one does it by themselves. So that'd be the the advice to stop following and stop doing it by yourself.
I I agree. A mentor once told me before. He goes, "Businesses don't fail; people fail.
Yeah,
It's those inside the business that either take on too much load, they get overwhelmed, they get overworked, they are drained with time, etc. They're not leveraging the people that are offering the right help to help them in their business, etc. And Perfect example, right? They come in, hey, here's an expert in marketing that can help you scale your brand, your business, your ecom, whatever it may be. And no, I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. I think I know better. Well, that's going to drive you right to the ground. And
It,
if you sometimes when you sit at the feet of the masters of people who have been doing this, the experts in the industry, if you will, um, hey, that's where you're leveraging your time for experience for someone like yourself and marketers like us, right? That just could really help drive that to the next level as opposed to stumbling over the blocks to try and do it on our own, right?
I mean, seriously, even, yesterday I had a couple meetings with folks, and they ask me about what I do and all of that, and I tell them, I'm a fractional CMO, whatever, and um, I make sure to make it a point to say, when it comes to like dealing with my clients, they'll ask, so do you do this and this and that? And I'm like, no, 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 I do not. I can. I don't do all of it because I'm not the best at it. I'm best at curating teams and finding the right people and then leading them. And I'm like I said, I'm a strategist, so I will find the people that are experts at the thing that they need, my clients, right? And I will bring them into the game. It's a team effort. I know, like nowadays, um, whenever somebody asks me you know, for any kind of favor, like joining a committee or a group of some kind, or if it's a client or whatever the project or task is, usually my first thought is, okay, who else can I bring into this? That's where I pretty much default to now. Like, who else can I bring in? Who do I know? Uh, who's an expert on this? Who can help answer this question or tackle this challenge or whatever it is? I have a network that I've very deliberately built over several years now, and for that reason, it's not just so I can say, "Oh, I know all these people." No, I don't know. I want to use them. Like, I'm trying to position them uh, to win, to do something, right, with their skills, their background, their networks, or whatever. And that's why I typically offer up my network when I can to business people or colleagues like yourself or whatever, and say, hey man, I've got this network. Let me use it. Whatever you need, let me know. Because it's not about me. It's 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 about helping, impacting, making a difference. And I've got the network to do it. So yeah, that's how I think about it. It's who else can I bring in? Who's better than me at this, and I can bring them into the game. You know.
I love it. I love it. I think, and one thing that resonated with what you said there, I couldn't agree more with. It's in speaking with our clients and explaining to them, it's not just, I'm going to bring you these few services and that's it, being very black and white. It's as a whole, I'm here to help position you to win. Now, am I the accountant? No. Am I the finance person? No. Am I, the operations down in that? No, not. Am I the marketing person that's going to bring that visionary and strategy together and then help develop that and then give you the team to execute on what's necessary so that you can be multiple steps closer to that big goal, dream, milestone that you're trying to achieve to win? That's what we're here to do, right? In a big sense, which couldn't have
Yeah.
said it better. So looking towards the future here, we talked a little bit about this, but here's another one. What would you say are some emerging trends that you believe will redefine the industry, the marketing industry, in the next decade?
Um. Obviously, AI comes to mind first. That is changing the world. Not even just the marketing industry. Definitely marketing industry. Obviously. I think it's going to change the. I don't know if it'll necessarily change the roles that there are in marketing, but it's gonna, like, which roles are being offered. Like, I don't think any roles are going to go away necessarily. I think how that role is executed will change for sure. Um, but trends in marketing beyond or just other than AI, um, there's how do I say it? A trend of the importance of the customer experience is rising very, very fast. The customer experience is probably the most challenging element for marketers to tackle. So at the end of last year, I compiled a library of the 100 most challenging questions that all business leaders, marketing or otherwise, are facing right now. And I set out to answer those all 100 of those questions. I did on my website, through blog articles, right? So you've got a good bit of meat on the bone for these answers, and that was one of them. It's the customer experience. It's like, how do we navigate that? How do we navigate the customer experience? How do we make it better? How do we elevate it? How do we compete with other brands around the customer experience? Because that's that's what it is, right? That's all it is. Like we kind of said earlier, it's like about building relationships. That's the customer experience, like how they engage with your brand, right? Your product or your service. We are in the age of attention spans that are about 3 seconds, right? Everybody knows that. That's a huge trend. We're in an age of extreme competition. Depending on where you are, but even not depending on where you are, because we're so connected now. There's way more competition, and it's only growing too. Everyone's starting a business, everyone's starting a brand, or a new platform or whatever. Brands are competing with themselves even. Threads and Instagram. It's like, but no, I think one of the major trends there is the customer experience and how we engage around that. Like I said earlier, we are engaging more with each other now online and through screens. So that's a huge difference than 20 years ago, and way bigger difference than 30 or 40 years ago, right? I think, again, with the customer experience, how is AI going to be incorporated in there? You and I think, talked about that. Companies are trying to figure out how to use AI in their customer experience, and some of them are getting it right, some of them are getting it wrong and using too much of it, and we can see it. Or it's even more frustrating because when you interact with an AI and you're interacting with an AI, that pisses you off. It's basically it's a robot. Or like when you used to call and you get an automated message, it's the same thing. It's like, I want to talk to a human being, right?
Right.
Yeah, this next decade is going to be huge. The trend is around that customer experience. There's trends changing around privacy, GDPR, and all that for marketers. Especially with AI. I was actually chatting with a fellow the other day. He's in the cybersecurity space, and he was genuinely afraid of what is happening now with AI in regards to cybersecurity, and how it's easier to breach companies and get information and all of that. And then if you're able to find ways to utilize AI, and that's going to make you worse because AI is faster than human beings and arguably more creative, right? So I think that's going to be huge as well. And I've definitely noticed too that there's been a surge in cybersecurity companies coming up, and just cybersecurity being talked about more since COVID in particular, and obviously even more so if and when there's wars breaking out, right? But the marketing industry, again, that customer experience is key. I think because of the hyper competitive landscape that we're in and continue to be in, and it's going to grow, it's paramount to figure out ways to stand out. Competing in those saturated markets is getting harder and harder. And I think that goes back to my approach toward marketing is, around content and collaboration, right? So what kind of content are you putting out? This is a world of content for sure. And it's only growing, and it's growing fast. So what kind of content do you put out? Is it on target? Is it hitting your audience? And is it valuable? Is it educational? Is it engaging? And how do you collaborate? This is why I stress those points. Like I said earlier, you can't do it by yourself. It goes for your business as well. If you start your business and you try to operate on an island and be the one, it's not going to work. It just won't. You need help. You need support. I don't care what business it is. Those are the trends that I see for sure over the next 10 years that are going to be very key to get right.
All right, James, all great stuff here. I think creativity was the key word that was super important that you said there, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
There's methods that are important, that are standard, tried and true from year to year, but thinking outside the box and being creative, connecting with people is rapidly evolving and staying on top of that. I couldn't agree more. So I want to kind of end this here with a hypothetical, if you will, or what would you do if type situation. So, and that question is to you. Suppose you're given the opportunity. I'm sure you do mentor people, or people have come to you to mentor a young entrepreneur, or maybe it's yourself. You know, many years back, and you could give that your younger self some advice. You can only give them one piece of advice, one comment, one rule, something along those lines. Which single piece of wisdom would you impart, and why?
Connect with more people.
Connect with more people.
Yeah, I was thinking of some kind of hybridization of get a team, like I was stressing earlier, and getting involved with the community. Um, but just I kind of want to, like I said, hybridize that into connect with more people. Um, I would definitely give myself that advice 10 years back, 15 years back. Uh, and that is the advice I give to as many young people or people that are new into their space as I can is connect with people, build teams, build your network, and know people. Um, the reason why I think I've kind of been beating that horse, I feel like in this conversation, but like it's yeah, you can't do it by yourself ever. And if you want to be successful in anything, whether it's business or basketball, you cannot do it alone. You need to have people around you that will help get you there. That would be my advice for sure.
I love it. Well, very well said. I appreciate all of your words of wisdom, and obviously, congratulations on your continued growth in your fractional CMO business. For everyone out there watching, James Sackey here in Dallas, Texas. If you're looking for a fractional CMO for your business, businesses that are over 4 million revenue, is that correct from what I
Yeah,
remember? Yep,
yeah,
that are cranking and that know they need additional help and are willing to listen to the proper resources. James is your guy. I'll put the link to his page and information here below. But James, thanks again for joining. I really appreciate all the time and your feedback.
Thank you, Joe. I had a good time as always, man. I look forward to getting together again for sure.
Likewise, man. Okay. Thank you.